it comes to Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the usage of technology is one of the more controversial aspects of the franchise. Now, despite what a lot of people might believe, technology has always been front and center in the Naruto world. There's just a really good chance that you might not have paid attention to it, which is very understandable. Who's gonna remember that technology is being used in a series where you have a main character who is liable to pull off some unpredictable and super hilarious prank, the source of numerous gag moments, and fight a legendary Uchiha who casually drops meteors on top of an entire shinobi alliance? If you missed the technology in Naruto, I totally understand why. However, we did see Team 7 using wireless radios in early part 1, as well as in the first Naruto movie. We literally see cameras in modern day movie theaters, and during the Ninja War at the Ninja HQ, Ninja were openly embracing science technology in order to relay orders and monitor the situation on the battlefield, which brings us to the Boruto world, an era where you have ninja tech and cyborgs that has changed the scope of battle in so many different ways than we actually knew it. One version of ninja tech was created by Konoha. While still imperfect, it allows her massive ninjutsu to be stored into gauntlets that can be fired off by anyone who wields them. Ninjutsu that originally took years of hard work to develop, and the people who had the ninjutsu passed down to them that might have required weeks of training to learn it. Now with the ninja tech gauntlets, anyone can use these jutsu. Even hidden jutsu like the shadow paralysis jutsu can be wielded by people from outside the clan, as shown in Boruto the movie when Konohamaru performed the jutsu. Some versions of ninja tech, like the one that Amado uses on their car inner members, was enough to take normal human beings like Delta and beef up their powers to the point where even Hokage Naruto, after defeating Delta, collapsed onto the ground, breathing heavy following their fight. While it's easy to say that Boruto is a series pulled ninja tech and overpowered cyborgs out of its rear end, it's a bit disingenuous not to acknowledge two things. Number one of Boruto's themes is the question of where does science fit into this world of ninja, and number two, Boruto is far from the first series to go this route. In fact, for a franchise that went from ninjas fighting ninjas to ninjas fighting aliens, if we're being honest here, dealing with science is actually something that's a bit more grounded and actually closer to your own reality. The idea of men in the Naruto world using science to close the gap in power isn't something too crazy. Being blunt, the concept of men using science and technology to match the natural power of elite warriors, aliens, gods, and etc. is not anything new. It's actually something very common in fiction. Tony Stark is just a normal human being, but he created Hulkbuster armor suits in order to fight off the Hulk, a being with the literal power to split entire planets. He's created armor that allows him to fight off overpowered monsters like Thanos. He even has armor that allows him to stand up to a literal god in Thor. In DC Comics, Batman and Lex Luthor have both created suits that pack enough force without the use of kryptonite, mind you, to do real damage against the overpowered being that we know to be Superman, who's one of the strongest characters in all of fiction. Ultron was a man-made creation, and Ultron showed power that was beyond imagination, especially if you read the comic version of Age of Ultron. Now, when you get to Brixton from the Fast and Furious spin-off movie, he was a cyborg with the power that surpassed Luke Hobbs, who was one of the most physically strongest people that we've seen in that movie universe. The fact is that mankind fears what it doesn't understand. It hates what it can't conquer, and ultimately, it seeks to destroy the things that it views as a monster. Progression is a natural part of combat. Guns aren't the only things that are used in war anymore. The option to drop atomic bombs that are strong enough that the shadows of people are burned onto the ground, that still exists in our world. In the era of Boruto, the concept of using ninja tech and science being used to surpass natural power has been a concept that's been put in our faces from the very beginning, even back when Masashi Kishimoto was first writing things with Naruto Chapter 700, Naruto Gaiden, and even Boruto the movie. When you get to the Boruto era, where Kawaki states that the age of shinobi is dead, look at the symbolism here. Kawaki is a teenager who as a child was sold to Jigen and was bestowed upon the Karma Seal, but his entire body was augmented with ninja tech just like all the other Kara members. He's a living and breathing reminder that progression has happened in this world regardless as to if people embrace science or not, and when you have Kawaki stating that the way of the shinobi is over, it holds so much weight because of what he represents. Boruto, on the other hand, represents the line of thinking that Sasuke had, which is that the way of the shinobi never changes even though the era itself might change. We were always heading here, and the signs were there before Boruto chapter 1 ever came out, with the Raikage making a chakra cannon that was powerful enough that it could blow up the entire moon once it was fired, and if he chose to do so, he could wipe out an entire ninja village if he chose to fire it. Science and technology being the core conflict for this series was the natural progression to combating beings that have power that far exceeds Kaguya. That much was proved by the PTSD that Naruto and Sasuke fans got from being on suicide watch after Jigen casually destroyed Naruto's Kurama avatar with one punch and Sasuke's perfect Susanoo in one casual kick, and punched Naruto so hard that it knocked him out of his chakra mode and left Naruto wheezing for air. The ceiling of a ninja can only go so far, just as Bruce Wayne can only train his body to a certain point before he has to rely on science to level the playing field against stronger opponents. In order for the world to defend itself from threats that are beyond Ishiki, a being who's stronger than the two strongest ninja, science is gonna be a key, but it will have to work in harmony with ninjutsu for it to be most effective. In fact, Masashi Kishimoto made this much clearer in 2015 with Boruto the movie, with lines that a lot of fans tend to overlook, where you look at Naruto and Sasuke, they make it very clear that the heart of a shinobi is still there, even in this new era, but Naruto, by greenlighting ninja tech, also understands that in the future there will need to be harmony between these two, science and ninjutsu working together hand in hand. In Sasuke Shinden, the teacher's star pupil, Sasuke makes it a point to tell Boruto repeatedly what Boruto finally learned during the Vessel arc after fighting Ao, which is that ninja tech and science isn't a bad thing, it just comes down to how you actually use it. You can't rely too much on one or the other, something that Naruto says to Kawaki when he begins training him in the anime, saying that he can't overly rely on his ninja tech or karma when he's teaching Kawaki ninjutsu. Sasuke also says in the Sasuke Shinden Teacher Star Pupil novel that science being used to gain advantages to improve ninjutsu isn't a bad thing, and that all the ninja who died before Boruto was born, they gave their lives so that progress could be made. It's due to science that he was able to figure out how to maximize a lightning release jutsu without using more chakra to do so. In the Kakashi Retsuden novel, The Sixth Hokage and the Fallen Sun, Kakashi openly credits the usage of science for the progress that he's made, with Kakashi himself stating that he believes he surpassed his power from the Fourth Great Ninja War. Science helped Kakashi develop a ninjutsu that is utterly beyond broken, making an earth wall higher than some of the skyscrapers that we've seen in Konoha, and for reference, skyscrapers are closer to 500 feet, and it's because of scientific research that Kakashi was able to find that level of chakra control that heated up the mud wall to the point where he turned it into glass, which it should be worth noting that in order to turn sand into glass, it has to be at 3200 degrees Fahrenheit. It was something only to believe possible in actual theory, but it was made possible due to Kakashi working alongside the ninja tech department in order to develop this jutsu. The reliance on science to push the bar higher for elite ninja like Kakashi and Sasuke, it makes a lot of sense. The power of two men, Obito and Madara, was unrivaled by 98% of the ninja alliance. Their Kages were seemingly the most powerful ninja from each of the villages, yet they fell very easily in battle to Madara. Madara, with one fire release jutsu, canceled out a massive collection of water release jutsu, despite water release being superior to fire release. Obito racked up a high kill count during the war. Kaguya was stronger than Naruto and Sasuke, even with their six-pass power that was loaned to them by Hagoromo, and yet somehow we have fans that believe that the fear that there are more beings that are stronger than Kaguya wasn't supposed to push the brighter minds in the world of Naruto to think of another solution. And the signs were always there that it was going to come to this. Orochimaru was stated to be working on a way to fight the Otsutsuki. Orochimaru, from as far back as part 1, has been known for his dabbling in science. Amado even successfully created cyborgs, turning normal humans into beings with hacks abilities that concern even Jigen, and this being the same Jigen who had his body controlled by Ishiki Otsutsuki. Ishiki took one look at those hacks abilities and ordered those cyborgs to be destroyed. The idea of science being used as a way for those with good intentions to defend those that they love, it isn't anything new in fiction. In fact, in the MCU, it's what pushed Tony Stark to create Ultron, because he caught a glimpse of the terror that was eventually coming to Earth. The opposite is true as well. Those with evil intentions will use science as a way to conquer. Boruto, as a story by this very design, has begun trying to tackle this very question. Can science and ninjutsu coexist in this world? Ninja like Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi in various mediums have embraced this possibility and believe that it's true. However, the balance still hasn't been found yet, with the closest one being able to achieve this being Kakashi Hatake in that Kakashi Red Stain novel. On the other side, in the manga, we have cyborgs like Ada and Damon and Code who have scientific upgrades that make them downright scary, yet they themselves are the only thing strong enough to combat an Ishiki Otsutsuki level threat, proving that science does have a seat to have at this table. It comes down to where will this balance be. It's what Naruto as Hokage is attempting to lead Konoha into finding the answer for. And we know it's an answer that he hasn't found by the time that Boruto vs. Kawaki takes place. However, I do believe that Masashi Kishimoto is setting up Boruto's endgame to be a perfect blend of science and ninjutsu, a yin and a yang working in perfect harmony. We're just seeing the growing pains of that experiment right now. However, I want to know from you guys, what do you guys think about people using science as a way to close the gap between natural power and talent? Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.